Welcome to our media channel. Here we try to share wisdom in detail, in depth. If you feel some of the discussions to be inaccessible or unfamiliar, we invite you to go over to the Keshava Swami YouTube channel where you'll find much more universal wisdom. We also invite you to join our Wisdom That Breeds community, where we're gathering individuals who want to make the world a more beautiful place by sharing wisdom. Hare Krishna. It's explained on the full moon night, Radha and Krishna come together and they have rasa dance, isn't it? So in the Bhagavatam it's explained that Krishna is Shyam Sundar, he's the color of a dark rain cloud. And Srimati Radharani is Tapta Kanchana Gaurani. She's golden. So like this, Srimati Radharani is glorified for being golden, and Krishna is glorified for being dark blue, Shyam Sundar. When we read the Bhagavatam and the description of the Rasa Leela, in one verse something very mystical comes. Because Sukadeva Goswami, he describes Krishna, and he says Krishna is dancing, Krishna is beautiful, and Krishna is glowing, and Krishna is green. Green? Krishna is green? No, Krishna is Shyam Sundar, he is a darkish rain cloud. So everyone is puzzled. How is Sukadeva Goswami saying Krishna is green? Emerald green? So sometimes only the great souls can understand the great souls. And therefore it takes another great soul to help us understand what the great soul Sukadeva Goswami is saying. And so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when he gives his commentary, he says, yes, obvious. Obvious. Because Krishna is dark bluish. And Srimati Radharani is golden. And Srimati Radharani is not just that her complexion is golden, but her love is golden. Her affection is golden. And her affection is exuding out of her body. And when she comes in the vicinity of Krishna, then her golden hue mixes with the blue of Krishna. And gold plus blue equals green. Emerald green. So he said it's simple. Krishna turns green because he's affected by the love of Srimati Radharani. But then someone says, but why didn't Srimati Radharani turn green?
I think you're going to have to wait.
Or should I just speak like this? No, okay, on the mic.
It won't be audible.
Won't be audible, okay. So, Krishna is green. But then the next question comes, why didn't Srimati Radharani turn green? So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, simple. Because Srimati Radharani's love is more powerful than Krishna's love. Therefore her love, her golden love, has an impression on Krishna that he can't control. But even he can't have that kind of effect on her. So before you try to understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga, you have to understand Gaurangi. Without understanding Gaurangi, you can't understand Gauranga. And therefore Krishna was baffled. What is this love of Srimati Radharani? What is she experiencing? See, Krishna is greedy. If someone has something good, he also wants. So it's explained Krishna was in the spiritual world. What more could you want? Everything's there in the spiritual world. But Krishna got greedy. He said, yeah, everything is nice in the spiritual world, but I want to have a fight. Sometimes, isn't it? You just want to have a little bit of a fight with someone. Nice. Love fight. Love quarrel. So then it's explained in Satya Yuga, his descended to the world as demons. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. And there in Satya Yuga, the Lord came as Nishingadev and he had a good fight. And he killed Hiranyakashipu. So now Krishna was happy. Greed satisfied, you had a good fight. But then it said as Nishingadev, Krishna had more greed. Because when Krishna saw Prahlad, and nobody could pacify the anger of Nishingadev, only Prahlad could pacify it. He looked at Prahlad and he said, you're having such a parental affection for me. I want to experience what that's like. I'm greedy. So I want to experience what parental affection feels like. Because as Nishingadev, there's no parental affection, you come out of the pillar. So then it said in the next yuga, Krishna comes again. This time he comes as Ramachandra. And as Ramachandra, he experiences what it's like to have the love of a parent, because who loved him more than anyone? Dasarat. Dasarat loved it so much that when he was feeling the separation of Ram, he couldn't maintain his life. He died. So Krishna was satisfied. Now you've experienced it, parental. And so many other relationships as Ram, the marriage with Sita, beautiful relationships. Krishna says, I'm greedy. There's something I didn't experience here. I experienced nice parents, I experienced nice marriage, but now I want to experience love outside of marriage. Greedy. So then he comes again in the next yuga, Dvapara Yuga, as Krishna. And there Krishna has Parakiya Bhav, Parakiya Ras. So there Krishna has a relationship with Srimati Radharani that transgresses all the boundaries of marriage. So now what more could you want? You have all the relationships in the spiritual world, you wanted to fight, you got that. You wanted parental love, you got that. You wanted married love, you got that. You want unmarried love, you got that. You got everything. Krishna thought experiencing Parakiya Bhav with Srimati Radharani would be the end of the story. There can be nothing more than that. But then, in the incarnation as Krishna, when he thought this would be the final job done, he experienced the love of Srimati Radharani. And he saw that Srimati Radharani's love is so intense. He said, I don't know what this feels like. How can I ever feel this if I remain as Krishna? I will never be able to experience it. So he said, but I'm greedy. I want to experience it. Because Krishna is Rasaraj. He has to experience all the rasas. So therefore he said, in Kali Yuga, I will have to come in another form. And in this form I will take the position of Srimati Radharani. And in this position I will experience what she feels for me. So this you will not hear in any theology in the world. In a theology, if you hear that the devotee cries for God, you have to understand this is advanced. But if you hear a theology where God cries for the devotee, you have to understand this is more advanced. But if you ever come across a theology where God becomes a devotee to cry for himself, you have to understand this is Gaudiya Vaishnavism. There's no theology like this in the world. Therefore, sometimes, in the temple, you measure the power of a devotee by how many devotees they can manage. He's a big devotee. He made so many devotees. Do you know that devotee? He's powerful. He made this person a devotee. Srimati Radharani made Krishna a devotee. Imagine that. You can't beat that one. Srimati Radharani made Krishna a devotee by her love. So this is all inconceivable. And so this day is very, very significant because whenever Krishna comes, he always comes as the best. So when Krishna comes as a devotee, then he comes as the best devotee. E mata bhakta bhav kori angikar apani achari kori labh. What is that verse? E mata bhakta bhav kori angikar apani achari bhakti kori labh prachar. I will come as a devotee and I'll show the ideal example. So Krishna comes to this world as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to display, to experience the love of Srimati Radharani, and to also explain and invite everyone in this world into those relationships of love. We have an opportunity to enter into the eternal play of Krishna. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance in this world is very, very unique. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is considered the most comprehensive biography of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these things are explained. And in the second verse of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, his own composed verse from his own pen, says something very beautiful. So you can repeat after me. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda Sahodito, Nityananda Sahodito, Gaudadaya Pushpavanto, Gaudadaya Pushpavanto, Chitro Shando Tamonudo, Chitro Shando Tamonudo. Vande, I offer my respects, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, to Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda, and also Nityananda. And then he says something very, very amazing. He says, Gauranga and Nityananda, Chaitanya and Nityananda are like the sun and the moon. Jai Shishi Gauranitai Bhagavan Ki. So he says something very beautiful. Chaitanya and Nityananda are like the sun and the moon, and they have arisen simultaneously. So when a poet speaks, in a few words they can say so many things. Therefore, Kaviraj Goswami says, true eloquence is essential truth spoken concisely. So in this very, very simple metaphor, that Chaitanya and Nityananda are like the sun and the moon, and they have arisen simultaneously, there are many, many meanings. Many meanings. You could spend all day thinking about this metaphor. The first thing is that, has the sun and the moon risen simultaneously ever in the history of the world? This is unprecedented. This is never seen before. Yes, there are many avatars, but when Nityananda and Chaitanya come, it's like the sun and the moon rising simultaneously, never seen before, will never be seen again. This is very, very unique. So this is the first thing he's explaining. When the sun rises, when the moon rises, then this signifies the beginning of a new time period, isn't it? Therefore, we always measure things, sunrise, sunset, because these risings are marking a new beginning. So when Kaviraj Goswami says Chaitanya and Nityananda are rising like the sun and the moon, he's explaining that now we're going into a new beginning. This is a new beginning. Because you may say, how's it a new beginning? It's already going on, Kali Yuga. But no, it's not. It's a new beginning. Because when they rise, even within the Kali Yuga, Satya Yuga begins to manifest again. And therefore it's said that all goodness can again prevail in the world if the influence of Chaitanya and Nityananda spreads. So therefore, this is also another meaning, that they are like the sun and the moon. Another meaning is that Kaviraj Goswami is saying they have arisen like the sun and the moon on the horizon of Gauda, which is covered in darkness. So now, Kaviraj Goswami is very expert, because darkness generally means no knowledge, isn't it? When you're in ignorance, then you're in darkness. So therefore, Kaviraj Goswami is saying, Chaitanya and Nityananda have arisen in Gauda, which is overcome with darkness. The amazing thing is that Gauda, Navadvip, is the center of all learning. If you want to find all the scholars, if you want to find all the pundits, if you want to find all the Shastra, then you go to Navadvip. Navadvip is like the Boston of India. Look at all the Harvards, MITs. That's Navadvip. And the amazing thing is, Kaviraj Goswami is saying, is covered in darkness. Because you can know so many things and still be in complete darkness. The Ishopanishad is very interesting literature, it's very counterintuitive. In one verse it says, avidya, ignorance, will lead you to darkness. And you know what the next line says? Vidya, knowledge, will take you to even greater darkness. You think, how will knowledge take you to even greater darkness than ignorance? Prabhupada explains, because when you have knowledge, but you don't understand the goal, when you have knowledge, but you don't know what the essence is, when you have knowledge, but you don't have a heart of devotion, then that knowledge will lead to an even greater darkness. And that's why the world is so knowledgeable and at the same time so dark. So dark that we have nuclear weapons. So dark that we have all of these technologies that can be detonated at any moment to decimate the entire civilization. So therefore, Kaviraj Goswami says they like the sun and the moon, they've arisen in Gauda. Gauda is the place of the greatest darkness. But there's even more meaning in this. Kaviraj Goswami says Chaitanya and Nityananda are like the sun and the moon. They're so effulgent. You know why? Because when the sun and the moon come up, then they remove all the darkness of the environment, isn't it? But Chaitanya and Nityananda are so effulgent that when they rise, their effulgence doesn't just remove all the darkness in the environment, it removes the darkness within the heart of the living entity. Which kind of sun can remove the darkness within the heart of someone? That's only Chaitanya and Nityananda. Therefore, they transform people. One time they were trying to buy 26 Second Avenue, where the Hare Krishna movement began. So, but the people who own 26 Second Avenue, they knew this is an important place for you guys. So everyone's trying to make a buck. So they put the price very, very high. So they were explaining to Prabhupada, we're trying to buy, but they keep putting the price high. And then one devotee said, anyway, Prabhupada, why do we want to buy that place? That place is full of drug dealers. That place is full of prostitutes. That place is full of people who are just down and out. Prabhupada said, that was all of you. In other words, Patita Pavana Hetu Tabaya Bata. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so effulgent that can transform the life of anyone. And so this is another meaning of the sun and the moon rising simultaneously. It removes the darkness within, the darkness that nobody can otherwise access. So you begin to see why Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is Kaviraj. He's the king of poets, because when he does one line, it has so many meanings. Nityananda and Chaitanya, they are like the sun and the moon because they're a transcendental partnership. And what Nityananda does is he reflects the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The sun is self-luminous, isn't it? And what does the moon do? It reflects the light of the sun. So therefore, when Kaviraj Goswami says they're like the sun and the moon, he's not just making a poetic statement, it's deeply theological. Because what Nityananda does is he reflects the incredible mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they're like a transcendental tag team. One time Jayapataka Maharaj was giving a class and someone said, how do you get the mercy of Nityananda? And Maharaj just looked at that person and said, get the mercy of Nityananda? How can you escape the mercy of Nityananda? That's the real question. So Gauranga and Nityananda, they come in a very, very, very kind. They go to all the places that nobody would go to. Prati gare gare giya, ma giye bhiksha, bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, guru Krishna shiksha. They go every place, every home, knocking. I just want one charity, just chant Krishna's name. So Gauranga goes everywhere. In UK, we used to have devotees who used to put Gauranga stickers everywhere. Go around town putting Gauranga stickers everywhere. Then they used to, back in the day, they used to hack into email accounts and then spam like 10,000 people. Chant Gauranga and be happy. So one time they appeared on the FBI website. Like, this is a virus, we don't know what this is. Gauranga, what is this? And then one other thing they used to do is they used to go to highway bridges. So you have these highways and then you have bridges there. So they used to go in the middle of the night and they would go with these big signs, G-A-U, like massive signs. And then they would paste it on the on the bridge. So in the morning, all these people, hundreds of cars would be driving under this bridge like Gauranga. So if you go even today to the UK, to some of the northern towns, then you'll see many bridges, Gauranga. So once I was distributing books up there, so I gave one person on the street, I gave him a book and he was walking off and I said, by the way, can you say Gauranga? He said, Gauranga. He said, I know Gauranga. I said, you know Gauranga? He said, yeah, I know Gauranga. I said, who's Gauranga? He said, that's that construction firm that makes all the bridges. And I turned to the devotee, I said, this is bridge preaching. But it's like that. Gauranga makes a bridge. He makes a bridge. Because if it was just on our strength, we would not be able to get there. No chance. On the strength of our chanting, on the strength of our reading, on the strength of our determination, no way. But Gauranga makes it up. Very kind. So these are so many beautiful lessons that Kaviraj Goswami is giving us in this one short statement. Gauranga and Nityananda are like the sun and the moon. Nityananda also represents the Guru. So this is another point, that the sun and the moon. Isn't it like the sun? What does the sun do? The sun gives light, the sun triggers the water cycle process, so the sun gives growth. Right? But what does the moon do? The moon nourishes in a different way. Right? So therefore, Krishna gives his mercy. Without Krishna's mercy, we're not going to get anywhere. But then we need the Guru's mercy. Because the Guru supports, the Guru cares, the Guru prays, the Guru forgives. And therefore, Gauranga and Nityananda are together. Because just Krishna, you won't be able to do it. But Krishna with Guru, then it's possible. Kaviraj Goswami, he's saying Nityananda and Gauranga are like the sun and the moon. Think about the sun. The sun gives energy. Isn't it? When you wake up in the morning and you see the sun, you get energy, vitality. But it's said that the moon doesn't give a physical effect. Therefore, if you know anything about astrology, what affects the mind? The moon. My moon. Right? Everyone, when they do their chart, you have to watch out for the moon. Because the moon can really affect your mental state. So this is also very, very significant that Kaviraj Goswami is saying they're like the sun and the moon, because Nityananda is having a different effect. Nitai Padakamala Koti Chandra Shushitala. His lotus feet are like thousands of moons. They calm you down. Relax, it's okay. Isn't it? Keep calm. Chant Hare Krishna. So I'm just sharing with you in brief how one line of Kaviraj Goswami's writing is deeply meaningful, has so much to enlighten us with. So, well, here's another one. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like the sun. Where does the sun rise? In which direction? And then, where does it go? There you got another one. Just see how powerful he is as a poet. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda rise in the east, on the horizon of Gauda. But where does their influence go? Paschatya Desha Tarine. Therefore, we're sitting here in Boston. Boston is definitely the west. It ain't the east, that's for sure. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda's mercy has reached the Paschatya Desha. But still, there's more work to do. Because we are in the Paschatya Desha, but now we have to also reach the people who took birth in the Paschatya Desha. Then we fulfill what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted us to do, because the sun rises in the east. But then it must go towards the west. Kaviraj Goswami again, he's saying the sun and the moon, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna says, Ei mata bhakta bhav kori angikar, apaniya chari kori bhakti prachar. I'll come as a devotee, I won't conceal, I won't reveal myself, I'll come undercover, I'll come incognito. Kaviraj Goswami is saying Nityananda and Chaitanya are like the sun and the moon. How is the sun going to hide? Can the sun ever hide? He's saying they've arisen like the sun and the moon. Gauranga is saying, I'm coming undercover. I don't want anyone to know I'm Krishna. I'm just going to be like low-key. And then at the very next step we're saying Pritivitya Chayata Nagaradi Gram Sarvatra Prachara Hoibe Mora Nam. On one hand, Mahaprabhu is saying, I'm going to come undercover, incognito, no one will know. And on the other hand, we're saying in every single town and village in the world, people are going to know Gauranga's name. Kaviraj Goswami says, Nityananda and Chaitanya are like the sun and the moon. You can't cover them. You can't cover them. Maybe there can be clouds for some time, but it's only temporary. Eventually, they have to shine through. So this is the power of a poet who's deeply thoughtful. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is our hope. There are many avatars that come to the world. Asankhya, the Shastra says, they're countless. As many waves there are in the ocean, there's that many avatars. But Lochan Das Thakur says, Sabai avatar, Sada Siromani. There's so many avatars. But there's a Sada Siromani. There are two who are the crest jewels. Parama Karuna, Bahudui Jana, Nitai Gaura Chandra. They're just so kind. They're so kind. And so all the avatars came and we offer our deep respects. But for us, Gauranga and Nityananda are the ones. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji says, when you're in one kingdom, you don't glorify another king. You glorify the king of that kingdom. So therefore, actually, as devotees, we are first and foremost devotees of Chaitanya and Nityananda. And Prabodhananda Saraswati says, if you dive into the pastimes of Chaitanya and Nityananda, and if you dive into those pastimes and you go to the depths of that ocean of pastimes, then when you come out of the ocean, you will find yourself on the shore of Sri Vrindavan Dham. So if you want to go, we began this talk by talking about the Rasa Leela and Vrindavan. So if you want to go to Vrindavan, if you want to go to that transcendent place, the playground of God, the only way is through Chaitanya and Nityananda. There's no other way. You can't bypass. They are coming for the purpose of giving us the access. So they are not ordinary, they are very, very special. And Srila Prabhupada brought their mercy to all of us. And on that mercy we're surviving. So let us make a prayer. We are very weak. Ekaki Amar, Nahi paya bal, ekaki amar, me alone, I don't stand a chance. Alone I have no strength. But in the Sankirtan movement, is possible, is very much possible. And so we thank Srila Prabhupada for giving us this family. It's not always easy. We live together. We sometimes have differences of opinion. We sometimes are a little bit different in our personality. One time we were in the ashram and a devotee he was giving a class and he said, look around. Would you be friends with any of these people if it wasn't for Krishna consciousness? And we looked around and we're like, I don't think I'd be hanging around with this guy. And we're so different. Let's face it, we're different. We're different ages, we're different nationalities, we're different cultures, we got different perspectives, we got different humor, we like different types of food. I mean, we couldn't be more different. So one time a devotee, he goes, I don't know why there's so many arguments in the Krishna consciousness movement. I said, I'm still wondering how we're all together in the same... We're so different. But the amazing thing is, Srila Prabhupada created a house in which the whole world can live. And it's all going on by a higher principle. Yes, externally we're so different. But internally we're all looking for the same thing. We just want to experience love. And internally, all of us have realized the only way to do it is through Gauranga. And therefore, spiritual life, ISKCON life can be difficult. Material life is impossible. So, Narottam therefore says, Tadera charana sevi bhakta sanivas janame janame hoi ei abhilas. What's the bottom line? Life after life. Things will come and go. But the bottom line is, Tadera charana sevi bhakta sanivas. Wherever I may be, whatever I may be doing, whatever condition I may find myself in, please, 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 let me always be able to live with the devotees. So, on this day, let us be that. Let that be our prayer, that we can always remain with devotees, remain under Srila Prabhupada's incredible movement. If there are problems, if there are difficulties, if there are things that we look at and we don't feel are right, let's work to make them better. And let's keep telling the world that Lord Chaitanya's moon is rising. It's not at all surprising. Because I'm telling everyone on the street, I'm telling everyone we meet, that we're going home. That's a song, by the way. I didn't make that up. If you should do that. Tonight, go on YouTube and type Lord Chaitanya's moon is rising. And there's a beautiful song by someone called Mangalananda Prabhu. And when you see that song and you see that video, I guarantee you, you will become very emotional. You may just drop a tear. Because you'll realize, I'm so fortunate. I'm so fortunate to have this opportunity. So let us count our blessings, share the blessings, and live a blessed life under the shelter of Gauranga and Nityananda, who have arisen in the darkness of Boston, like the sun and the moon, simultaneously to dissipate the darkness of Kali Yuga. Hare Krishna. Questions? Or?
No, we have some time.
Have some time if anyone would like to ask a question or share a reflection or anything you would like to add, correction. Yes, Ruth.
First of all, thank you for the talk. It was very wonderful. So, as the saying, as you said, the saying goes, Srila Prabhupada built a house in which the whole world can live. But especially here in the Northeast, we see that it's in the Western world, it's primarily Indians at this point, which is great. I mean, because Lord Chaitanya did say anyone born in the land of India has a duty to become Krishna conscious. But Prabhupada didn't want everyone from all walks of life to become devotees. So, in your opinion, as someone who's a sannyasi, active at this time, what are some ways that we can open up the movement to bring people from other walks of life in?
Thank you so much. Of all the verses that Srila Prabhupada quoted from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the verse that he quoted most often, the verse that he quoted in every single forum, whether it be a morning walk, a Bhagavatam class, a room conversation, the verse that he quoted from the very first day of his preaching to the very final day. Jaradeka, Tarekaha, Krishna Upadesh, Amara Agyaya Guru, Hanatare E Desh. Whoever you see, whoever you meet, tell them about Krishna, in whatever way that may be. All of us are here in this room, and all of you have a certain amount of people that you're interacting with every single day. If everyone just told the people they meet something about Krishna, the Krishna consciousness movement would expand. So perhaps we lost a little bit of that spirit. I encourage you to look at that video, Lord Chaitanya's Moon is Rising, because in that video you will see a spirit. I once gave a class, the spirit of 66. Not that I was around in 66, but we've heard about it. And it was a beautiful spirit, because everyone was going out, everyone was sharing, everyone was becoming concerned about others. Everyone was thinking, this is for everyone. And therefore this movement was exploding. But maybe we've lost a little bit of that spirit. Maybe we've become a little bit comfortable. Maybe we think it's just for our in-community. So we have to constantly rack our brains and invite people from all walks of life, from all nationalities. And then we have to ask ourselves, if they were to walk through this door and attend one of our programs, would they be able to relate? Would they be able to feel comfortable? Would they be able to feel like this is home for me? So each one of us have that responsibility to be hospitable. And that was Srila Prabhupada's mood. So, yes, let us share this message with every single demographic. Otherwise, to just glorify Srila Prabhupada by saying Paschatya Desha Tarine, it's not enough just to have temples in the Western world. We need to have temples which are representative of the people in the Western world as well. And that's a great challenge. So, thank you for raising that. I take it as a reminder to myself that we have to do more. And let us encourage that. Some thoughts. Thank you. Okay.
There's the pastime, I think it's Srivas Thakur's mother-in-law, that she was in the building during Mahaprabhu's kirtan, and he stopped the kirtan and he said, someone's here who's not supposed to be here. And I always kind of wondered about Lord Chaitanya being simultaneously the most inclusive and the most merciful, dancing with the animals in the forest. But then when it comes to his own bhajan with his inner circle of devotees, and he was not as inclusive. Is it possible you could explain that a little bit?
There was a brahmana who was very austere. The milk drinking brahmana, right? Mm-hmm. It's only drinking milk. Brahmachari. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes are going on many levels. The first thing that he's teaching from this pastime is that austerity isn't enough. Do you think just by being austere, you will get the grace of God? Nasadhayati mam yogo na tapas tapa ujjava. You can't do it just through tapasya. You will not conquer the Lord. In fact, if you do a lot of tapasya, a lot of austerity, your heart can become hard. Right? I'm so austere, I'm so strict, I'm so serious. But you're not kind. You're not kind to the devotees, you're not loving, you're not gentle, you're not soft-hearted. Then what's the meaning of all your austerity? Our movement is a movement of love. Our movement is a movement of personalism. We should know people's names in the temple. We should be friendly. So the first thing Mahaprabhu, he's trying to teach radical personalism. So he's teaching through this brahmachari that be careful about just being strict and into your own spiritual life. You will not meet God like that. You have to be loving, you have to be kind, you have to be soft. Then Mahaprabhu is also teaching that when you are having intimate sangha, it's not a crime to have intimate sangha with those who are like-minded. In fact, Rupa Goswami, when he's talking about the angas of devotional service, he says, Sajatiya, Snehasya, Ashraya. When you're having intimate association, have association with those who are like-minded. Because what can happen there, when there's affection, when there's trust, when there's close relationships, then you generate an energy. So what was Mahaprabhu doing in Srivasangan? He was generating an energy from a purity of Sangha. And when that energy was bubbling, then the doors of Srivasangan had to open and the kirtan had to go to the streets of Nadia. So it all begins here. So Mahaprabhu was also teaching that to have powerful Vaishnava Sangha amongst like-minded devotees is necessary in order to generate the kind of potency by which we can then share it with everyone. So like this, these things take place on many levels. So those are a couple of reflections. All right. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. So you beautifully mentioned about the sun and the moon rising together and taking off the darkness. Bhagavad Gita 10.21, that's where Krishna himself says, I am all the Adityas and the Vishnu, I am the sun. Nakshatram aham shashi, I am the moon. That's where I was able to correlate that how beautifully it is explained that Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. Bhagavad Gita certainly asserts that what is being talked about here.
Yeah. Yes, Bhagavad Gita says, Rasoham apsukonteya prabhashmi sha shishuryayo pranava sarva vedeshu shabdhake paurusham nrishu. Krishna says, I'm the taste of water, I'm the light of the Shashi Shurya, I'm the light of the sun and the moon. I'm the syllable Om in Vedic mantras, I'm the ability in man, I'm the sound in ether. So who can say? People say, I can't see God. Does a day go by where you don't drink water? Oh, sorry, bad day to say that. Okay, still got a bit of time. Every day you drink water, no? Does a day go by where you don't see the sun? Does a day go by where there's not one moment of silence? How you can say you can't see Krishna? Krishna is making himself so available. Therefore Krishna says, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pasyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachame na pranashyati. Krishna says, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I'm never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So Krishna is like the sun and the moon, making himself so available.
Maharaj, I was curious, how can we access the blessings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu more meaningfully in our life? What can we do to connect with him on a more deeper level personally?
Yeah, that's a very broad question. It takes place on many levels. The first thing is we should get to know someone. And that doesn't mean just to get to know their activities. It means to understand their mood. This mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be so magnanimous, to be so kind, to be so forgiving, to be so concerned, to be so compassionate. If you imbibe that kind of mood, then immediately you come close to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? So the first thing is that we have to try to understand the mood. Then we have to understand the message. What is the message that Mahaprabhu is giving? What are his teachings? What is his gift? What is he telling us? Shikshashtakam. It is very powerful, Shikshashtakam. One commentator says, why didn't Kaviraj Goswami speak about Mahaprabhu's passing away? If it's supposed to be the most comprehensive biography, why didn't Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami speak about the disappearance of Mahaprabhu? So we could say it was too painful. But another commentator says, no, that's not the reason. What is the final chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita? Chapter 20, Antya Leela Shikshashtakam. The commentator says, what are you saying? Mahaprabhu's disappearance? Mahaprabhu doesn't disappear because the spiritual master lives forever in his instructions and the follower lives with him. So the commentator says, Mahaprabhu didn't go. Mahaprabhu is here. The final chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita is the Shikshashtakam. And if you live that, if you become more humble than a blade of grass, think about that one. What does it take to become more humble than a blade of grass? More tolerant than a tree? Mahaprabhu is right there. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Adyapi hashe leela kahagoda roy, kona kona bhagyavan dekhi barapoy. He says Mahaprabhu's pastimes are going on even today. Kona kona bhagyavan. But who is fortunate? Dekhi barapoy. That person will see. So you have to understand Mahaprabhu's mood. You have to understand Mahaprabhu's message, and you have to understand Mahaprabhu's mission. Prabhupada understood Mahaprabhu's mission, and therefore he came right here. Right? Sometimes you all are in Boston, you can just walk down to Commonwealth Pier, just go by yourself and just think for a moment. Prabhupada came here. He understood. He was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita and Jaladuta when he was in the middle of, or on the brink of death. So that's it. Understand the mood of deep generosity. Understand the message of how Mahaprabhu wants you to be as a person, live as a devotee, and understand the mission. When we wake up in the morning, we have a mission. It doesn't matter who you are. Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyashi, Shudra Kenanoi, Jai Krishna Tattva Veta Sei Guru Hoy. Doesn't matter who you are, everyone's got the same mission. Tell people Krishna Tattva. And you're a guru. Alright? You just tell me when to stop.
Yeah. Okay. In the interest of time, we have only 5 minutes, so we can take only one question. Kindly forgive us. Okay. So we'll allow Prabhuji because we'll go by the order. So and we'll pause immediately. I think we need 1 minute just to announce certain things. Okay. So please give us that time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for the enlightening words and talk with so many beautiful quotes and connections with respect to literature. Maharaj, my question was, you were quoting this Vaishnava song, Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chanda Sushitala, the shade of, the lotus shade of Nityanand Prabhu's lotus feet are like that of 1,000 moons. And then following that is, next phrase is Hena Nitai Vinay Bhai, Radha Krishna Pai Denai, Rida Kavi Dhava Nitai Pai. So there, the song tells that catch hold of Nityanand Prabhu's lotus feet, and only through him we can approach Radha Krishna. So my question was, when we hear this, is it a selfless ask, like approaching Nityanand and Bhagavan Mahaprabhu, that so that you can approach Radha Krishna? So is that a selfless way of approaching Gauranga Nityananda Prabhu? And how is the, because it, I think you understood.
Yes. See, we begin where we begin. Sometimes people ask, should I pray to go back home, back to Godhead? Is it selfish? If you want to go back to Godhead and it inspires you to wake up in the morning and do your Hare Krishna mantra, go for it. Somewhere along that journey, you're going to realize the spiritual world is already here. Naham tistami kunthe yoginam hridayeshu va yatra gayanti madbhakta tatra tistami narada. You eventually realize, if I have devotees around me and we're glorifying Krishna, it's already the spiritual world. So, in the beginning, we go with many demands or many ideas or many hopes, and we get connected, and eventually we realize this is already perfection. It's already perfection. And ultimately, if you get one, you get everything. Because they're all connected. So if you get Nitai, you get Chaitanya. If you get Nitai Chaitanya, you get Radha Krishna. If you get Radha Krishna, you get Sri Vrajadham. Everything comes. So whatever it takes, whatever it inspires you to connect to Nityananda, and then eventually along that journey you'll realize He's perfect. Now whatever you want to do with me, Nityananda, you do. But Nityananda will throw you to Mahaprabhu. You won't have to ask him. That is his business. Koda Nitai. So, Nadia Gudrume, Nityananda Mahajan, Patiya Chinama Hate Jivaraka. That's his business. He's opened up a marketplace and he's selling it. He's saying, just have some faith. You won't have to ask him, he'll do it. That's his business. That's what he's come to do. So we don't need to get caught up. We need to get connected. And then everything will come. Is that okay? All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
There you go.